Seattle created the NFL's ultimate championship machine, a defense nobody could crack, and a team nobody wanted to face. But one shocking warning has changed everything. The Seahawks' biggest weapon may have already walked away.
The Seattle Seahawks, the best team in the National Football League, and they earned that moniker.
That Colin loves to say about this show is he wants interesting. Above all, he wants interesting. You know, if the takes are super hot, you may not like him. You may he's wrong. Who cares? You're interesting. We're making you think. Well, we had somebody yesterday on the show, Warren Sharp, really interesting individual guy who covers the NFL, kind of his own deal. And he said some fascinating stuff about the Seattle Seahawks. And yes, that we're talking about the defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks, the mighty Seahawks who beat the Rams twice last year. I mean, they steamrolled the Patriots in the Super Bowl. But he thinks the Seahawks could be a prime candidate for regression. Now, I've been listening to a lot of NFL stuff. I've been devouring NFL content. I ain't seen nobody say a word about the Seahawks taking a step back. Here's Warren Sharp yesterday on a potential regression for the Super Bowl champs.
I don't think people realize the buttons that Kubiak was able to press last season that changed dramatically from 2024 to 2025, dramatically reduced the rate of 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers on the field, dropped it down, used a lot more 12, and was the number one most efficient offense out of 12 personnel. If this offense is not to that same level because Kubiak's ability to dial up these things early on in games and on first down, keep the team ahead of schedule, he's no longer there. He's down in Las Vegas coaching the Raiders. That's going to be a big time problem for this offense.
Folks, it's weird. 20 turnovers for Sam Darnold? I somehow forgot that. Now, you know, I've been on the show here for a few years now. You guys know I'm very numbers-oriented, right? The sun sets and rises every day with the numbers. I mean, that's my edge. You know, I didn't play football at any level. How the hell am I on TV talking about NFL all the time? Because of the numbers. That's where I find my edge. And, you know, I had a take earlier this week that, let's just say some people disagreed with. And I had a former Super Bowl champion player text me. He's a 2-time All-Pro. And he's like, hey, J-Mac, listen, I love you, but some of this take, you know, if you want the players to respect you, you can't say this stuff. And I told him, you know, respectfully, I didn't play at any level. They're not going to respect me regardless. Here are the numbers to back up my take. And the response was very silent, shall we say. I'm just telling you, the numbers say a lot about the NFL. And I know there's I played and, you know, folks, I'm just telling you, look at some of these Seattle numbers. So Warren outlined it, 20 turnovers for Sam Darnold. Remember, this was on a defensive-led team. Defensive-led. Yes, they returned 9 starters on defense. The defense will be very, very good. But if they take even a step back, a little bit, Sam Darnold has to do more. Sam Darnold has had 2 great 14-3 seasons with a Brian Flores defense and a Mike McDonald defense. He didn't have to do much. When he was pressed to do stuff, bit of a turnover machine. Now, yes, you could say, well, Jay, 4 of those picks were in one game, right, against the Rams early in the season. Okay, fair enough. When it came time to fourth quarter comebacks, Sam Darnold delivered. Well, not really. They weren't trailing often in the fourth. He had 2 fourth quarter comebacks. One of them was fluky as hell against the Rams. We know that. But hey, sometimes you catch some breaks. So I look at those Darnold turnovers. I'm like, oh, geez, that's significant. And then Warren mentions the loss of Clint Kubiak. So I drill down deeper. Kubiak just didn't leave. He took 2 other coaches with him from the offensive staff. So now you're down 3 coaches from the offensive staff. And oh, by the way, Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP. And now we know that the new OC has never called plays before. Fleury is his last name. And he comes from, you know, the Shanahan-Kubiak system. So it'll be run first. But we had some issues in the backfield, do we not? Charbonnet coming off a major injury. He's not really a bell cow. And then you've got Price, the young kid out of Notre Dame, who I like. But I don't know if he's going to hit the ground running.
Seattle built something the NFL spends years trying to find. A championship machine. A defense that could break opponents. A roster built to win in every situation. A team that reached the Super Bowl and made the biggest stage look almost easy. The Seahawks were not just champions. They became the team nobody wanted to face. They defeated the Rams twice. They dominated the Patriots in the Super Bowl. They finished the season looking like a franchise that had finally discovered the perfect formula. But now, after reaching the top of the mountain, a new question is shaking the NFL. Can Seattle stay there, or are they about to experience the painful reality that most champions face? Because while fans are talking about a dynasty, NFL analyst Warren Sharp has delivered a warning that has created a major debate. Seattle could become one of the biggest regression candidates in the league. And that statement sounds unbelievable. How can a Super Bowl champion suddenly be in danger? How can a team with elite defense, strong coaching, and a talented roster suddenly take a step backward? The answer comes down to one thing. Championship teams are not only built by the players on the field, they are built by the people behind the scenes who create the system. And Seattle has already lost one of the most important pieces of that machine. And the biggest question surrounding Seattle starts with the person who completely changed their offense. The biggest offseason concern for Seattle may not be a player leaving. It may be the loss of offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. Because Kubiak did not simply call plays, he changed the identity of the Seahawks. Before his arrival, Seattle relied heavily on 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers, and a more traditional passing attack. But Kubiak created something different. He shifted the offense toward 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, more physical football, more balance, more opportunities for play action. And the results were impossible to ignore. Seattle became one of the most efficient offenses in football when using those formations. Kubiak's early game scripts allowed Seattle to attack weaknesses before defenses could adjust. He helped the Seahawks control the pace of games. They were not just reacting to opponents. They were forcing opponents to react to them. But now, that offensive architect is gone. Kubiak accepted a coaching opportunity with the Las Vegas Raiders. And the loss became even bigger when 2 additional members of Seattle's offensive staff followed him. 3 important pieces of the championship formula disappeared. Now the Seahawks must answer a difficult question. Was this offense successful because of the system? Or was it successful because of the person who designed it? Because in the NFL, replacing talent is expected. Replacing the brain behind a championship offense is a completely different challenge. And if Seattle's offense loses even a small amount of efficiency, all the pressure moves toward one player. The quarterback who completed one of football's biggest comeback stories. Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's journey has been one of the most unexpected stories in the NFL. A quarterback many people considered a failed prospect became a Super Bowl champion. A player who once struggled under pressure became the leader of one of the league's best teams. But now comes the biggest test of his career. Because winning with an elite defense is one thing. Winning when the entire team depends on you is another. Darnold finished the championship season with the ultimate achievement. But there is one statistic that creates concern: 20 turnovers. For Seattle, those mistakes were hidden because the defense was so dominant. The Seahawks controlled games. They created short fields. They protected leads. Darnold was rarely forced into desperate situations. And that matters because Darnold has experienced success before in elite defensive environments. He was part of a 14-win season under Brian Flores' defense in Minnesota. Then he reached the top of the NFL with Mike McDonald's defense in Seattle. But in both situations, the defense gave him a safety net. The question now is whether he can succeed without one. Because if Seattle falls behind more often, if the defense takes even a small step backward, Darnold may be asked to do something he hasn't consistently proven: take over games by himself. To be fair, the numbers need context. 4 of his interceptions came in one game against the Rams. And when Seattle needed important plays late in games, Darnold delivered. His championship season cannot be erased. But the challenge is clear. Can he prove he is not just a quarterback who wins inside a perfect system? Can he become the reason Seattle wins? And that challenge becomes even harder because Seattle must also replace production from one of its most important offensive weapons. Championship teams depend on stability. But Seattle enters the next season with questions at running back. Kenneth Walker was one of the most explosive weapons on the roster. His speed, his explosiveness, his ability to change games. Those qualities help make Seattle dangerous. But injury concerns have created uncertainty. Now the Seahawks need another player to step forward. Zach Charbonnet has shown talent. He has the physical ability. But there is a major difference between being a talented backup and becoming the foundation of a championship running game. A true lead back must handle a heavy workload every week. He must stay healthy. He must create consistency. Then Seattle also has rookie Jadarian Price from Notre Dame, a player many people believe can become a valuable weapon. But expecting a rookie to immediately replace championship-level production is a massive challenge. Seattle's new offensive coordinator comes from the Shanahan-Kubiak coaching tree. The philosophy should remain familiar. Run the football. Create play-action opportunities. Control the clock. But ideas alone do not win championships. Execution does. And Seattle must prove the system can survive after losing key pieces. Because now everything comes down to the biggest question facing this franchise. Nobody should underestimate Seattle. This team is still dangerous. The Seahawks return 9 starters on defense. They still have Mike McDonald leading one of the most aggressive defensive systems in football. They still have championship confidence. But the NFL does not reward what you did last year. It rewards what you can do next. Seattle lost the offensive mind who helped transform the team. They lost important coaching pieces. They face uncertainty at running back. And Sam Darnold now faces the ultimate responsibility, clear and forceful. Prove that the Seahawks are more than a great defense carrying a talented quarterback. Because history is filled with champions who reached the top and discovered that staying there was even harder. The Seahawks have every ingredient needed for another championship run. But the next season will reveal the truth. Was Seattle the beginning of a dynasty? Or did they create the perfect championship moment that may never happen again? The machine is still powerful. The defense is still terrifying. The roster is still loaded. But the biggest test is coming. Can Seattle keep winning after losing the people who helped build the champion? Because the entire NFL is waiting for that answer.
Yo, mic check 1 to 2, -1, -2. Game over for this video, folks. Smash that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to stay in the huddle for more. This is NFL Madness, bringing the heat and signing out.